Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Chatty Runners podcast, the Ocho. If you've been with us since episode 1, thank you for coming back, and if this is your first episode, welcome. You've picked a great place to jump in, but don't worry, you can always go back and catch up on the first 7 episodes afterwards. And as usual, you'll find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music and YouTube. So whether you're listening on your long run, walking the dog, driving to work or just relaxing at home, thanks for choosing to spend a bit of your day with us. And as always, we've got plenty to chat about. So I'll do our introductions. You've got me, Andre, you've got Dan, and usually the third person of our trio would be Sophia, but she's on her travels today. So in her place, we've got Ross, or as most of us will probably known as the Orange Running Guy. So hello, Ross.
Hi there. Hiya, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So as always, like any good run, we need to do a warm-up first. And this week's warm-up question is, when you're choosing running shoes, how much does colour actually matter? And have you ever bought a pair that just because they looked fast? So as our guest today, Ross, if you go first.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm quite guilty of choosing colour over, what's the word? Usefulness, I think is the word to use. I do like a bright colour, as everybody knows. I have 2 pairs of the Adidas Evo SLs. So I've got one bright yellow colour and I've got one bright aqua colour. And I've also got a pair of Pro 4s as well, which is the aqua colour. I'm not really into sort of looking at reviews for trainers. Again, guilty of if they look fast or if they look as if they're going to make me run fast, I'm all in. That's for me, definitely.
I'm expecting like some like orange. If it's not in orange, then I definitely don't want to be choosing this.
You really don't know how difficult it is to get a pair of orange running shoes. So I will be keeping a lookout for some, definitely.
I do have a question for you, Ross. You're a big Wolverhampton Wanderers fan. If you found the perfect trainers in dark blue and white, which is, for those of you who are not followers of football, West Brom's colours, and they were the best shoes ever, and that was the only colour they came in. This is a really hypothetical question, so it's never going to happen, so don't worry about too much about it. But would you buy them?
I think you probably know the answer. It's very much definitely not. Definitely not.
Okay.
I am a very staunch Wolverhampton Wanderers fan, so I will not wear anything colour-wise that would, very similar to that.
Runs very deep. And, well, I'll be honest with you, Goldsby, who we were talking about in our pre-pod chat, he's a West Bromwich Albion fan, isn't he?
He is,
Yeah.
yes.
That must have been a hard one.
Well, I think on one of the Marmness's posts, he actually said that he hates Wolverhampton, and then Andy said that he loves West Brom, and I'm like, well, that's it. I'm unsubscribing. You've done it now. I'm like, you can't say that. That's wrong.
Sacrilege. Anyway, back to the trainer talk, Andre. Sorry, I hijacked a little bit there.
It is your turn now, Dan. So what's your pick?
So I'm going to be sensible, and I would never choose to wear a pair of trainers based solely on the style or the colour. I would rather look ridiculous in a pair of fluorescent shoes that looked just the worst, but were the best for my foot, best for my run, because I'm sensible. When it comes to shorts and shirts and socks, quite frankly, it's going everywhere. The other day I saw a pair of socks which had wings on them and they were for children. I thought, do they do those in grown-up men's sizes? And I thought it might be worth doing in a race one day, but no, trainers, they're the thing that keep you upright. They're the thing that keep you going. They're going to protect your feet and your legs the most. Don't mess with them. If they look terrible but work well, that's the most important thing.
So I was just going to go back to that. Absolutely, no, I get the whole the sensible thing, absolutely, and I do subscribe to that. I must admit, it took me a while to find the right shoe to wear from when I first started running a year ago to where I am now. Tried many pairs of different kind of sponginess, as I call it.
Mm-hmm.
And the SLs have just by far been the best I've worn. I wore my first pair and I said to my wife, I'm never going back to another pair of trainers again. Just that they're comfortable. The bounce in them was just right. And I think I'll go with the sensible thing, absolutely. But they've got to still be bright and colourful.
So you're a bit like Run DMC. It's always Adidas or Adidas.
Yeah, I wasn't an Adidas person at all because one price of them, of anything Adidas really. I don't wear any other kind of Adidas clothing because their sizes just don't come in my size. But the shoes, absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Okay, for me, colour does sort of matter, but after everything else. So out of my priorities, I've got like 4 criteria: comfort, fit, performance, and then colour. So I'm a specs person, so I'll just do like the total research and everything like that before I commit to spending money on a shoe. But I'm pretty much open to like most colours, as long as it's not all black or white. In theory, I like the Adidas, the Evo SLs, but the colours are quite boring, and I do like them. So after everything else, I just wouldn't choose them mainly because of the colours. I mean, I actually tried them on Sunday, and I just couldn't. The colour was just boring.
Are we allowed to reveal this, Andre, that you have committed to carbon now?
Yes, I bought some. This will be the first time, and I haven't actually got them yet. They're meant to be delivered today, but they haven't arrived. I have the ASICS Magic Speed 5s. That's what I'm getting. So that's my first entry into carbons. Never thought I was really worthy to. I still don't, to be honest with you. And they are in the Ekiden green colour. So It's actually the same colour as my Mega Blasts, but to get them at the discount that I got them, it was either in that green or white. So white was never an option. So it was just another pair of shoes in that Ekiden green, which is fine. I like it. I like that green.
The Pro 4s that I've got hardly wear them, but they're carbon. I wore them probably for the second time at the Wolves 10K, and they're actually okay. But I did a long run in them not that long ago. It was before Endure 24, and they would just hurt my feet so much I couldn't wear them. So I'm a bit I might try them one more time just to sort of see if it might have been I was wearing them wrong or something. I don't know, but I'm a bit reluctant to sell them because it would cost me the earth.
Do you find? I think I'm a bit like you with like bouncier trainers. I love having shoes. I love having that bounce in them. And now that we've got to that to being used to the bounce, it's hard to go back to something that's a bit more solid.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I mean, you were mentioning the ASICs. I bought a pair of ASICs. I think they were called Drabuka 5s for trail runs about 3 weeks before Endure 24. For the sole purpose of wearing them for Endure 24, I did one lap and I had to take them off because they were killing my feet and my ankles as well. And I don't know whether that's because there was hardly any bounce in them at all. They were nice and grippy and they felt comfortable, but I had to take them off at the end. Ended up wearing my Evo SLs for the rest of the event.
And I'm sure that you're a connoisseur in the carbon plated shoe. How do you find carbon plated shoes?
So believe it or not, I've only worn a carbon plated shoe for about 10 kilometers. I bought some Mizuno Hyperwarp a few weeks ago, tried them out on the track, and they felt good. But again, it's one of those things that you don't get out your slick tires unless you're trying to do a fast lap. And I don't know how they'd last on a marathon. I know that the Neo Vista by Mizuno, Ross, I'm a Mizuno man. I can't really get on with any other brand, in all honesty. I tried ASICS, but they just didn't work for me. And the Neo Vista 2 are really good. I'm looking forward to trying the Neo Vista 3 maybe next year. But I thought I'd try the carbon plated ones because Forest of Dean runner, a FOD runner, he recommended them. Also, Chris Ford from 40 Runs, he recommended them. And because they're on such a good offer, I thought, why not? Go for it. I'm looking forward to trying them out a bit more on track, possibly on a 5K or a 10K, but we'll see. My focus is on marathon at the moment, so.
I suppose the caveat probably from all of us is like probably not to buy shoes because they look fast or look pretty. It's just it's probably they buy shoes that actually suit you, and if they happen to look good as well, then that's definitely a bonus, then, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, I think we've definitely got that subject wrapped up. If they look pretty but they're completely useless, don't buy them. If they look ugly and they're absolutely brilliant, buy them. So, in all honesty, it wouldn't be a Chatty Runners episode without Sophia. She sent us some voice notes. Our apologies for the quality of this. There's not a lot we can do about it. And she answered the same question. Would she choose her shoes based on colour or style or the look? Over to you, Sophia.
I'd say I'm 50-50 on this. I've never bought a pair of shoes because I particularly love the colour or because I think they look fast. I will, however, avoid buying shoes if they're in a really dark colour. I don't know why, but I feel like I don't love a black trainer or dark blue, dark greys. Yeah, for some reason they have to be in those like lighter or brighter. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I just don't love dark coloured shoes for some reason.
This is the Chatty Runners podcast.
Well, that was a very intense warm-up. I think we're all ready for the main set here. Well, Ross, we're really going to put you through your paces tonight because we're going to be asking you quite a lot of in-depth, deep questions about why. Why are you running? Why are you on this journey? So, shall we start off with that question? So, let's start with a simple one. What got you out the door on that first run? And for anyone who hasn't seen Ross on social media, you're not built like Elliot Kipchoge, like Mo Farah, like Josh Kerr, like a runner, an athletics runner would be. And I'm going to choose my words carefully here, for fear of offending, you're a big bloke. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely, yeah. No, spot on, mate, spot on. So yeah, what got me out the door? Well, this whole running journey really started back in February 2025. So at that point, I was really going to watch my wife run at parkruns and watch her run at various events and really kind of just enjoyed that side of it and didn't think about running at all. But then kind of December, January time, my mental health took quite a dip. In the sort of in the context that I kept it to myself, kind of anxiety mixed with a bit of depression, kept it to myself. It was getting quite serious because I didn't recognize any of the feelings that I was getting, so I didn't know what was going on. So hence I didn't tell anybody because I thought, I'll sort this out myself. So I told my wife in the end and started to go to a little bit of therapy. And then my wife said to me, why don't you maybe have a look at getting out and running? And I think my initial response was, nah, really? And as you say, Dan, I'm not built like a runner. At that time, I was quite overweight. So from that point, I remember saying to her, right, okay, I'm going to give this running a go. We went to the running show in February. She bought my first pair of proper running shoes. And then a week later, I did my first parkrun. Getting me out that door, I was quite nervous because I'd not done it before. I'd not even gone out for a run a day or so before to see how I was, really, just to sort of see if it was going to work or not. So I was quite nervous, definitely. And then we went to Milton Keynes. I can't remember why we went to Milton Keynes. And it almost killed me. I think I finished it with it was either just under an hour or just over an hour.
Okay.
And I found it incredibly tough. And I think the whole kind of, it put quite a lot of doubt into my mind whether I could actually do it or not. And it kind of made me feel more anxious at that point, which, besides the point of the whole thing was to try and help me with that. But I think in the sense of the question of getting me out that door first time it was my wife really, just the encouragement and with parkrun being parkrun inclusive, doesn't matter how fast or slow you go, that was an ideal way to start, I think.
Did you see people who you would consider look like yourself at parkrun?
Yes, yeah, I did. Yeah, definitely bigger than me. And I think I remember saying to Louise, my wife, saying, "Oh, perhaps isn't going to be as bad as I thought because there's people bigger than me." So yeah, definitely there were, yeah.
What kept you going for like those, like at the start of your journey? Because obviously a lot of people will have there'll be like loads of milestones that they're able to achieve like really quickly. But obviously when you're seeing other people or having your own self-doubt, what kept you going in like the early days?
I think it was stubbornness and wanting to see results quite quickly because I knew it was going to help. I mean, I'm quite I wouldn't say I'm a little bit impatient. So I like to sort of, if I'm doing something, I want to see results within a week or two, where we all know that's not going to happen. So to keep going and to become consistent, I knew that the results were going to happen, and the results have changed. My mental health was going to change. My weight, certainly, and my fitness was all going to sort of follow on. So that was kind of the push that I was, and I just loved it as well. I mean, I've been to parkruns, like I say, watching Louise, but actually taking part is another level, really. The support you get, the encouragement was just amazing.
It's a very positive environment, parkrun. I wouldn't say it's overwhelmingly easy, because you will turn up and find people who are much faster than you, people who look like they belong at a running event. And then you get people who are just dressed in like a fleece top with a pair of trousers and worn out trainers and things like that. And they are just as welcome. And that's the amazing thing about parkrun. I'm an advocate and I'm a fan of parkrun. I can't really find much of a fault in it, apart from the fact that it's getting very, very popular now. And is that something that might put you off? If you see that a parkrun's quite a busy one, would you think, oh, I don't really want to go to a really big one?
Absolutely, yes, yeah, definitely. I still get really anxious before going to a parkrun. I mean, I've done 50 now, and I still get that same feeling every morning of getting there and getting on that start line. It kind of, it's quite difficult sometimes, and I think if it's a busy one, it's even worse. Absolutely, and it would stop me if I knew that an event was going to be over 700-800 runners. I would give it a miss.
Can I just say something about that? Because I used to suffer really badly from anxiety when I was getting to 50 parkruns, that is. Let's clarify that for the audience. I, on occasion, was physically sick before parkrun. I was so nervous. And then I got to 50 and things started to change. It ceased to be the most important run of the week, and it was just another run amongst others. It was a really good, enjoyable run, but it was really, really hard. And talking as well about anxiety and mental health, it's not an easy thing to talk about. So kudos to you for saying that and coming out with that. And Andre and I have chatted about this at various parkruns we've met up about mental health and things like that. And it's an important area, don't you think, Andre?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially men talking about their mental health is so important these days, because, the outcome, that what could happen if people bottle it up. I'm sure a lot of us probably even know someone, or may even experienced things like that ourselves, where the worst case scenario could be only moments away, things like that. So it's really encouraging to see someone else just talking about it openly. It's good. And then someone flicking through social media, seeing someone talking about it, and it doesn't become that stigma anymore, like it shouldn't be. Men should be able to just talk about it. It shouldn't be seen as a feminine trait, should I say, to be open up, to be vulnerable. It's human nature, isn't it?
Yeah. And Andre, let me try that one again. And Andre, you've been in a similar position to Ross, where you started running and you were, and again, I choose my words very carefully here, you were a bigger chap, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there'll ever be a day where I don't see myself as the guy who started, or way before that. So it's a never-ending saga of self-doubt and just overcoming it, and you can only do it one day at a time.
Absolutely, yeah. And I myself, I can speak about the fact that I was a bigger bloke as well, and the cut-down version, the significantly reduced version that you see on camera. For those of you who are listening, it's, if you imagine Brad Pitt or George Clooney, something really, really handsome, that's kind of the area that we're looking at. I used to be overweight, and I ran and I didn't care. But I did care because after one park run, somebody mentioned, oh, yeah, there was a big unit that was running with, and they were referring to me. And I think back to that, I think, so should I have been offended or not? And I don't know. It's just an accurate way of describing people, but it's not, it wasn't meant in a derogatory term. It was meant in a kind of like, it was a big person, in the same way you describe somebody with red hair as, oh, he was a redhead. You know, he was that. I won't go any further than that, for fear of offending my mum, who is a redhead. So yeah, we've all been there, and I think there's a lot of other people who have been in that position of being the bigger fella, the big bloke, and taking up an activity like this, and really losing a lot of weight. So yeah.
So I was just going to go back to the whole kind of that my whole kind of AKA of the orange running guy. Sort of after a couple of maybe 3 or 4 months of having the page and people starting to sort of know me, I was getting a lot of people sort of saying, or I was saying to a lot of people that said to me, oh, I don't think I can run because I'm overweight. And my response to them would be, what do you think I'm doing? You know, you just need to start. You just need to stick those running shoes on and just get out there and do something, not be worried about what everybody else thinks. Like you say, Dan, it's, you know, parkrun's the brilliant thing because it's all inclusive. Nobody cares what you look like, really don't. And somebody may make a comment like, oh, a run with that big lad or something. But to me, that would give me more fuel because I would think, okay, it's talking about me there. So I need to I'm going to prove this lad a bit wrong, which isn't the way to do it, but it is for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For people who don't know, tell us the story behind the orange running guy.
Excellent. Yeah. So when again, going back to February last year, I had an Instagram and a Facebook page, which was just literally just me, Ross, and my daughter, who is a kind of a marketing website person, said, you need something a bit more interesting than Ross, that for people to take note of you. And I'm like, well, I'm not really doing it for everybody else. I'm doing it, They were like, yeah, but you're going to this and this and this. And I was like, oh, okay. And my favorite color is orange, not because of the Wolves colors, but it always has been. Just, coincidental that it's a Wolves color as well. And she said, hang on a minute, let me just have a think. And she went away and she came back. She went, I've got one. And hence it was the orange running guy. And yeah, that was literally a couple of months after I started. Changed my name on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, TikTok, whatever. And she was right. I mean, it got the attention. Not for me, but I think for mainly what I was doing. The whole kind of ethos of I was turning 50. I'm overweight. My mental health is bad. The whole thing of, look at me, I'm running. If I'm running, I can do it. You can do it. The more kind of inspiring, encouraging people thing part of it, which is a massive thing of the whole orange running guy ethos, really, is to inspire and to encourage. But yeah, that's the story behind it.
Okay, so you've been running for about 18 months now?
Yeah, pretty much.
18 months. So let me ask you this big question. Which early win meant the most to you? So was it like finishing your first parkrun? Was it breaking a certain time in a parkrun, or has it come later? Was it completing a particular event or a distance?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, it was the little wins to start off with. It was, finishing the parkruns, running a little bit more than walking, bringing my times down. I think the big wins really, I ran the Wolverhampton 10K. That was my first 10K race. I believe I met you both there, and Dan, you were a star. Pushed me on right to the end as I was coming up that hill, really struggling. I met Andre and I met Ready Eddie, as I like to call him. And then after that, I did the Silverstone race as well. That was a nice little big win. But the biggest achievement I've done to this date is to complete an ultra marathon.
Biggest win so far?
Yeah, ultra marathon.
Yeah. But that's so far. So you've got,
so far.
I would say,
so far.
Yeah. I would say absolutely in the future. That's great. But look towards the future and think, what's my next challenge? But at the same time, don't think you've got to keep going bigger and longer. An ultra marathon, that's amazing. I mean, I watched your video for the Endure 24, and it just looks like such a hard event because you've got to keep going for 24 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, it starts on a Saturday at 12 o'clock and finishes at 12 o'clock on the Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 8K loop, so 5 miles, and basically you just keep on going as much as you can for as long as you can. My target was 6 loops, which was the 30.15 miles, I think it was. But yeah, mentally, sort of that really challenged me mentally because it was you can do a loop and then you would stop and you would fuel up and you would have maybe a sit down or something or other. So that was the hardest part, was getting off from that refueling and going back out there again for another, because you kind of knew what was coming, if that makes sense. But it challenged me in the sense of that itself. Sitting down, eating, and then getting back up again was probably the hardest thing, especially after 3 laps. I mean, I was hurting. It was, I'm thinking to myself, why on earth am I doing this? Why did I sign up for this? But then you would go out on the course, and because there's people out there all the time, the support and the encouragement and it's next to none. It was amazing. If you looked like you were struggling, somebody would come and walk next to you and talk to you and make sure you were okay up to a certain point, and then they would go. But it was just, amazing event.
I mean, there's a real camaraderie in running, particularly in longer distance ultra running. It's not seen as, let's use football as an example, it's not seen as an us and them situation. It's let's make sure everybody gets around, particularly at our level, because what's the point of, you can beat somebody, but you can also turn around to them and say, that was a hell of a contest that we had there. I really enjoyed running with you. Thank you so much for pushing me to the line. And that's just a wonderful thing, I think. And to hear that stories, I mean, watching the video was really good. You got a view of what the course was like, what it was like for you. The thing that I probably that would put me off would be the sleeping in a tent overnight and other people making noise. I'm not a good sleeper. If a snail sneezes in Oswald Street, which is about 30 miles away, I'm going, what was that noise? What was that noise?
So yeah, the whole kind of, because it's kind of like a festival vibe. So there's quite a lot going on in the actual sort of athletes' village, as they call it. So we were camping quite near to the actual course because we were with a deaf group. So they got special conditions to park near, to camp near the front. So noise wise, yes, because you'd got the music was going on all through the night. People talking, stuff like that. But really, you only really camped really on the Friday, because you get there on the Friday, set up. So it was only really the Friday night when you would sleep in the tent. But yeah, that was very noisy. I didn't get much sleep that night.
I think we also think about like the journey, as things like we're constantly learning things about ourselves. And I mean, what you've achieved there is amazing, and I hope you're like incredibly proud of yourself for what you did. But was there something that you learned about that race that you now looking back and can take onto not just running in the future, but on other aspects of your life about things that you've overcome?
Yeah, definitely. My whole kind of, I think I came out of it thinking to myself, I'm never telling myself that I can't do anything ever again. I'm very much I wouldn't say a negative person, but I shall say to somebody, oh, I won't be able to do that. Oh, I can't do that. I won't be able to run this length or that length. But that, I think coming out of it and saying to myself, you can do things, and you've taken out your comfort zone. That was the thing as well, out my comfort zone, and also telling myself that I can do things.
Do you use visualization, or do you have a mantra? For example, I know when I was training for the ITU triathlon in Leeds, my vision was, because the finish area had blue carpet, I'd just keep, if I was struggling in my training or something wasn't going my way, I'd be thinking to myself, think about the blue carpet. I'd visualize myself coming around the corner onto the blue carpet and finishing the race. And that helped me. Do you have that, something like that? Or do you have like a little chant you say to yourself of saying, come on, Ross, you got this?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It's a couple of things. I'm a medal person. I love a medal. Absolutely love a medal. So it was the whole point of, it was that medal at the end. that says that I completed an ultra was keeping me going. But also as well, shouting at myself mentally. If ever I was doubting myself, it was literally shouting at myself. If it was out loud or even in my own head, come on, you've got this. We can do this. It's, pain's, what is it they say? Pain is temporary, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's classed, I would say, as tough love. And sometimes people use abuse and term it as tough love. That's not, abuse isn't tough love. Tough love is saying to somebody, look, I know this injection is going to hurt, but it's going to make you feel an awful lot better. This thing that you're doing is hard, but you will feel so much better at the end of it. And I think that's the thing. It's not always about, oh, look at me, oh, I'm terrible, and sharing your mental health issues. But sometimes it's about just saying, come on, time to suck up them tears and just get on and do this.
Absolutely.
And there's times when I'm the one where it's like, oh, I need to talk about it. I need to get in touch with my feelings. And there's a bit where I'm having to be rock solid hard, saying, come on, slap myself around a bit and mentally and just say, come on, you got this. You're better than this. You can do this.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few tears shed. I think it was the fifth lap. So I'd just completed marathon distance, and I didn't realise. I don't know why. I kind of was in I guess you call it in a zone, I guess. And I was just concentrating on getting round. And then so I looked at my watch and I was like, I've done marathon distance. And I still get choked up now thinking about it, but I just burst out crying. I was, what is wrong with me? And there was this lady that came up behind me to check that I was okay. And she was like, oh, you've done amazing, brilliant, well done this. And she took a few photographs of me and stuff. But yeah, I think it's always good. I'm a crier. I wouldn't know how to say it. I'm honest about that. I'll cry at anything. But there was a few tears shed going around that course a few times, definitely.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with crying. I've felt like crying at points after a run, but generally I'm so dehydrated that only air comes out. There are no tears left. Okay, so let's move on from Endure 24. And so let's talk about a little bit about body image and how you see yourself. So at any race, there are usually lots of cameras, lots of people taking race photos. Do you ever look at those photos and cringe? You think, oh, if only I didn't look like that. Or is it a more positive thing of, look at me getting out there and doing that sort of thing?
50-50, I think. Some race photographs really aren't that pleasing. I think is the word. From certain angles, and you think, I don't like that angle. That makes my stomach stick out a little bit too much, or my face is whatever. But then on the other hand, I'm looking at it going exactly that thing of, I'm out running. I want these memories. I want pictures of me running, so I can keep them. I can show my grandchildren or family or anything like that. Yeah, I think there's still sort of body image wise, I'm still very wary of it.
Andre, can I ask, because I've never seen a bad race photo of you, in all honesty, because you're generally smiling in all of them, because you have a nice demeanour about you, have a nice personality. The smile that you bring to your race photos that I've seen always kind of make me think, he looks like he's enjoying himself. Is that always the case?
Probably about 20 years ago, I used to just smile with my mouth, not showing any teeth. And I had to make a conscious effort that I think someone had told me that, oh, he doesn't really look very happy. So I just made a conscious effort to always smile with my teeth. And the way I go about the photos that, let's say, everyone sees, they're very curated. No one will ever see the bad ones. There are bad ones all the time. I mean, every day when I go for a run and take photos, I take a few, and the one that's on show is the best photo. Every video that I'm in, I'm always make sure I'm probably pulling my stomach in, maybe making sure my top's all the way down, sort of thing. So I have this mindset of knowing what I look like. It might be completely wrong, but I'm still that big guy that's, that needs to change in me. I don't know how long that's going to take to change. So, but until then, it's a very curated way. But the way I do my social media is it's there as a lesson provider for me. When I look at photos from a year ago to now, I can see the difference now, and I'm a lot better now compared to then. So it's just like a journal of my journey.
That's good. That's really good. Let's talk about race clothing. So again, the major sports brands tend to design clothing for slimmer, faster runners. How do you go? I mean, Ross, how do you go out finding the stuff to wear that because I know, having been a big bloke myself in XL, when I finished my first marathon in Stockholm, I tried on the double XL t-shirt because I felt that the XL was a bit too small, but that was only because I was just run a marathon. I was a bit sweaty and sticky. And so, yeah, I went for the XL in the end. Do you have what do you look for in your clothing? Is there a particular brand that you follow or anything like that?
There isn't actually, no. I think the only brand I wear is my Spox socks. Is, in all honesty, the shirts that I wear, the branded Orange Running Guys shirts, I get made for me. So they're kind of, size probably 3XL, I think. The shorts are just normal shorts, which are my Wolves shorts. I wear compression shorts as well. So I can't remember whether they're branded or not. I don't think they are, but they're probably bought an XL or something like that. But going back to the point of you saying about race clothing, I couldn't go out to Sports Direct or Adidas or anywhere, pick up a running shirt and say, yeah, that's going to fit. Because there's just, going back again to I'm a bigger lad, they would just be too tight and they would just make me look ridiculous. And I wouldn't feel comfortable running in it. So brand-wise, it annoys me. I think the races that I've done where you get a free T-shirt, it doesn't fit me because it's not in a big size. And I'll say to the person, without sounding horrible to them, I'm like, you do realise that all runners aren't skinny. And I just get like I get a confused look back at me, and it's to say, well, sorry, and that's fine. That's the way that it is. But I think that's one side of things that needs to change in the industry, that these companies need to recognise that not every runner is like, skinny and, 8 stone or whatever it is. There are some big runners around.
And far be it from me to speak for the female of the species, but they're designed for men, a lot of these race shirts. So they're not cut for a woman's figure. And if there's one thing I've learned about being married for nearly 25 years, it's my wedding anniversary this month, 25th wedding anniversary. And ladies have certain, I'm going to try and be very delicate here, assets. I think we all know what I'm talking about, chaps, don't we?
Absolutely.
And it's, a race t-shirt is going to hang differently on a woman's frame as it is going to hang on a man's frame. And it's all very well being that chiseled kind of muscular bloke who can sling on that shirt and just look amazing in it. But if you're a woman and you get that race shirt and suddenly it's hanging really differently, that could affect your esteem a little bit, thinking, well, this t-shirt doesn't look good on me. I look like I'm wearing a smock or something like that. Or it could be that it's just really tight around that area. Again, not our area to talk about. We're talking about men here, not about the ladies. Anyway, I digressed a little bit there. So, Andre.
I suppose it's, in fairness to the brands, they're trying to be inclusive, but they're just not quite there yet. Well, they might say they cater for the majority, but it's just the quiet minority that are still uncatered for. But that it takes people from all walks of life, all experiences, to be loud and proud about their own journey, for these bigger brands to say, oh, I need to cater for those people that we see on social media.
This is my one an episode, by the way, mentioning cycling. So let's get it out of the way. There was a cycling brand, I don't know whether they're still going, called Fat Lad at the Back. And it was cycling gear, because it's worse in cycling, quite frankly. Unless you're a skinny Italian you've got to go for quadruple XL just to be able to squeeze into it. And this brand was called Fat Lad at the Back. I don't know whether they're still going or not. I could do some research on the internet. But Fat Lad at the Back, and there was a fat Lass at the back as well for women as well. So, and they were cut differently. So they were cut so they weren't jerseys that were too skin tight, too restrictive, and something like that. Maybe there's an opportunity there for an entrepreneur to realize that there's a market there for big blokes who like to run. Come up with a snappy name that, hopefully.
It just frustrates me a little bit because they, you know, I do feel as bigger blokes are a bit more, I wouldn't say, you know, left out or anything, but when you see everybody walking around with these really nice race finishing t-shirts and you just think, I'm not going to fit into that. I'm not going to I want people to know, I like to wear a finisher t-shirt every now and then, you know, like the Endure 24 one. You know, my wife Louise, she's got it, she's wearing it, and she didn't even do the event. So it's, yeah, I just find it really frustrating.
Yeah, I can understand that. These are cheap items that are, in the most case, bought from China and Taiwan and the Far East and Vietnam, made as cheaply as possible with a logo that's been printed on. It's the way of the world, unfortunately. We can't change that. But what race organisers could do is perhaps look at that and go, if there is somebody who does consider themselves to be quite a outsized sort of person, or maybe even just go, well, let's look at a separate one for ladies. Just ideas, really, at the end of the day. I'm going to do nothing about them because, quite frankly, I've got enough just keeping my head straight on what's happening on Planet Dan. So there we go. So let's move on to another question. Has there been a moment in your running journey? And by the way, I hate using that phrase. Hate saying running journey. It sounds a little bit too highway to heaven sort of thing. It's like
I'm a constant user of the term running journey. It's
Me too.
It's my MO, that is.
Yeah.
I'm on this running journey that's never ending. That's my thing. I'm just going to have to find another word for it.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Andre, definitely.
It's just I'm just slowly morphing into a grumpy old man. Anyway, back to the question. Was there a moment, or has there been a moment of where you've thought, yep, I belong here as much as anyone else?
I would say no. I'm still in very much what's the phrase that they use? Imposter syndrome, I think, is the word to use. I still stand at that start line at parkrun or wherever and I look around and I'm like, yeah, I look very different to everybody else here. I can't really say whether there'd be a time where I think to myself, yeah, I belong here at the start line. I think it's a shame because I think, like you say, we're all runners, we all do it. Shape size doesn't really matter, but I think it's a head thing. I'm hoping it does happen, but I still struggle with it quite a lot.
Do you consider yourself as a runner? I mean, I personally think you should do, but I just want to know from your point of view whether you do or not.
I do, yes. Yeah, I do now. Definitely, yes. Yeah. It took me a while, but I do class myself as, if somebody asks me, I do say, yes, I run. I'm a runner.
When was that moment that you began referring to yourself as a runner, like internally?
Probably only about 6 months ago. Quite recent, I think. I think it was when I started to sort of train a lot more and started to sort of run a lot more when I was training for Endure 24, and I was running sort of longer distances than I'd ever done before. And I kind of thought to myself, yeah, I think I can call myself a runner now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely see, you as a runner. Anyone who's doing anything other than just sitting down, essentially, for me as a runner. But I think parkrun is for everybody. Races, if you pay for it, those are for you as well. I for my marathons that I've done, I feel a little bit of imposter syndrome for being on those starting lines because New York, I won a competition to do it. London, I got in the ballot for very lucky. So on those starting lines, I felt very like imposterish. But everything else where I've paid for, I feel like I deserve to be there because I've paid for it. And parkrun, it's free for everyone, so you deserve to be on that starting line.
I think going back again, I'm thinking about it. I think parkrun, I don't feel kind of as an imposter syndrome. I think because, like you say, everybody's in the same boat. Nobody really cares what you look like or whatever like that. So I think maybe again, if I change my answer to probably at a parkrun, yes, I do feel like I'm a runner, definitely.
So that's your starting point, really, at parkrun to say, yeah, I belong here as much as anyone else. And then when you go and do a 10K, when you do Wolves 10K next year, or maybe if you've got other events, and we'll come to that later, I think. We'll leave that probably to last. When you've got other events next year and later on this year, and you can start feeling, yep, this is where I belong. This is exactly where I belong. So you feel like you belong at parkrun, that's your starting point. So when you go and do your next 10K or your next event, you can say, well, if I belong at parkrun, then surely I belong here. And you just take the feelings from parkrun and you move that forward to your next big event. Just a thought, really, more than anything. I'm not saying that that's definitely the way to do it, but that's just a way to do it.
No, I agree. No, definitely. Yeah, I think it's moving forward with the mindset of I am a runner. I do belong on this start line. Like Andre says, I've paid for this event, so I'm supposed to be here. So yeah, no, definitely moving forward. I think it's that mindset I've got to get used to. Definitely.
Cool. Okay. So let's go back in time to 2025 and you've started running. What would the Ross of August 2026 say to the Ross of January, February 2025 to make that stage easier?
That's a really good question. I think it would be to not put too much pressure on yourself. Things take time. Things don't happen overnight. What's difficult then will get easier within 2 or 3 months' time. Or the little, pains that you're getting in your knees or whatever, that will disappear the more that you do it. But I think really the overriding thing is don't put too much pressure on yourself, which I put my hands up now. I still do that now. But I think if I could go back and tell myself, yeah, that would be the one thing.
I always have this nagging feeling in my mind that I always wish that I'd started earlier. Do you get that same thing as well?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, definitely. Like I say, I was 49 years old when I started, and I just think to myself, gosh, if I would have started this when I was, 10 or 15 years younger, I'd be doing 20, 25-minute park runs now, not 45, 46-minute park runs, or being a little bit more slimmer, not as overweight, maybe, a bit fitter, maybe, but yeah, absolutely.
There's an old Stoic saying which says, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Right now. And we can't go back and change the past because it would change who you are now. You might, at the age of 25, started to take up running. It might not have worked out for you then. You don't know. So you've made the change now, and that's going to be something that will be in your life, hopefully for 10 years. It's certainly something that you've picked to define yourself, calling yourself the orange running guy. And it's something that's part of your personality. We all need to cling to something to have a personality. We can't all be, ultra talented, ultra wonderful people in every sense of the word, but we have to pick a thing that it's like, oh yeah, that's Ross. He's the orange guy. He's always dressed in orange. He loves running. He loves it. Absolutely loves it. And it's just something that you make about yourself, and you can put your emotion into it, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, the character, I guess, if you call it, the orange running guy, has sort of grown and grown and grown. It's got to the point where it's, I think I've said before, where I get people message me to say how much that what I'm doing is inspiring them, which blows me away because I'm just me. I'm doing it for myself, but to know that people are watching my journey, and thinking, I can do that, it does give me quite a lot of satisfaction thinking that I've inspired a lot of people to get out there and start this running thing, as they say.
But that's the thing. You said it's personal. You're making it about yourself, which is the best way to be when you do content. When you post on Instagram, when you post on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook, it's about you, and it's kind of like, look, I'm doing this thing, and there should be absolutely no negativity from people saying, "Oh, look at him, he's posting another video." Yeah, if you don't like it, don't watch it. There were a lot of programs on TV in the 80s and 90s on Channel 4 that people used to write into the newspapers about and say, absolutely appalling that this program was on. Vast majority of them probably didn't watch the program. Okay, or they had the option to go, "Oh, this is disgusting, I'm not watching this," and turning it over. And I think that's key here, is that if people on social media don't like what they're seeing, they can just swipe left, swipe right, swipe up, swipe down, whatever direction they need to swipe for whatever app they're in.
I like talking about all the positivity and everything like that, and it should rightly be, and you should be like, what you've created, the community that you've created is amazing, and you should only focus on the positives. But has there been any negativity for yourself or to yourself or anything like that?
There has, yes, yeah. I've had 3, 4, 5 comments that have been sent to me on Messenger, so a personal message, not on to any, visible sort of. I think I was called overweight and what's the word? I can't think of the word, but it wasn't very nice anyway. Yeah, I do get it, and that's the whole. I have to kind of understand that's the whole thing of social media. I'm putting myself out there, posting these things. You're going to get people that don't like it or just want, just to take the mick. I think the worst one that I had, I was actually out running in the town, and a car pulled up by the side of me and basically just shouted out the window, "Run, fat boy, run." And I literally, I laughed at them because at the time I just didn't care. It got to the point I laughed, and I was like, and that run, I actually ran a further 2 and a bit miles because I was quite angry, but then 2, I was like, right, I'm going to show you what I can do. But yeah, definitely, I do get some negativity, but thankfully, 99.9% of the time, it's all very, very positive.
What you need to do is take a leaf out of James Blunt's book. He really engages with them and kind of does some really, really good stuff back. He's a very smart cookie. I do love, sometimes I don't do X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days, but I have seen some of the things that he's responded to people on where they've kind of said some very nasty things about him. And he just takes it, it's like water off a duck's back to him.
Absolutely.
And that's a great attitude to take, because if they'll stop saying it if it doesn't get an impact. What those people are doing is they want a reaction out of you. If you don't react, and it's really hard not to go, right, you absolute effing T, why don't you go and F your effing, I can't swear on a podcast. I could swear, but it means my job for editing later is a little bit more challenging. So don't give them the ammunition. I've had comments on my Instagram, Facebook, where people have said certain things. I was having a discussion with somebody on a sporting event that involves 2 wheels. I think, see how I got around that, Andre? That involves women, that's going on in France at the moment, and the coverage of that on TV. And I said, well, what if you went to a football match? We were watching, say, a football match, and they said, okay, we're going to watch the last 5 minutes of this football match. It's 3-0 to England. And then people would start saying about, oh, women's football's rubbish. And I was like, yeah, but, and it was English blokes. And I said, yeah, but the women bring home trophies, for God's sake. You just go about it that way, and you could try and just converse with them. And I think the worst thing is you just shout at them.
I suppose the important thing is probably with Ross from February last year probably would have reacted differently to seeing those 1 or 2 comments as opposed to the hundreds, thousands of positive comments you got. So, it's commendable now that you're in a position where you just like, forget those people. Think about the positives. Think about what it's doing for you, how much in a better place that you're in. And, you're going to ignore them and just continue on your running adventure.
I think to start with, I did get I kind of, I was a bit, I wouldn't say upset, but, and then I just thought to myself, actually, I should take this as a compliment. People are taking the time out of their day to comment on something that's taken them 10 minutes to do. That's their problem, not mine.
Mm.
So as it came on, I didn't respond to any, but I have a WhatsApp, a team Orange Running Guy WhatsApp group, and they've got my back. Believe me, they've got my back. So I'll go onto the group and say, oh, look at this comment that I've got. Well, that's it. It's like, Marvel Avengers Assemble kind of thing. And they, on my behalf, defend me, shall I say.
I'm a member of that WhatsApp group, and I turn my back for 2 minutes, come back, and there's another 150 comments. So it's like, whoa, what did I miss? So suddenly it went from talking about where are we running this weekend, and then suddenly it's like, well, I'm going down the garden centre on Thursday next week. It's like, well, what? How did it go to this? So there we go. So go on.
I was going to say, you've not seen the talk about cottage cheese yet, then?
I blinked. That's the problem. I blinked. Shall we move on to the final bit of this grilling of Rusty Orange Running Guy? What's in your future, running-wise?
So I've not got anything planned until pretty much October at the moment. So I can't really say it's my first half marathon because I did that in Jaw, but it's my first official half marathon in my hometown of Rugby. So I chose that one to do. So that is in October. November, I haven't signed up for it yet, but I'm going to be doing the Silverstone 10K because I really enjoyed that event last year. It was really, really good. And then nothing kind of December-wise. And then I think January, I've got the Warwick Half Marathon.
That's the season opener for everyone, isn't it? Apart from me, I've never done it.
So I went on the Middle Aged Running Man podcast on the Goldie on guitar. So I got myself a free code for an event. So everybody was saying, oh, sign up for Warwick because, like you say, it's a season opener. And they said it's always a good atmosphere. So that, and then nothing then until I've signed up for Endure 24 again next year. Whether that's a mistake or not, we should soon find out.
Not tempted by the Ironbridge Half in March next year?
I need to sit down and I need to look at sort of events because I want to do more. My aim for this year was to do as many races as I could.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that things have gone, sort of organising and holidays and stuff, it's not really happened. So I will be looking at quite a few for next year, saving up for them as well. Yeah. That's the only downside.
Yeah, running's a cheap hobby, they say. Yeah, apart from the expensive trainers, the expensive kit, and if you go down that route, the expensive recording equipment for vlogging and podcasting and things like that. It's a really, really cheap hobby. It's only going to cost you about £1,000 a month, so race entries. So can I just finish by saying something?
Absolutely.
So last January, I was at the National Running Show at the NEC, and I got to meet Andre for the first time, which was a wonderful experience. I got to meet an awful lot of people. But as with everything in those sort of arenas, and to show that I am human, my social battery was incredibly low by the end of that day. And there was a point where I saw you and you crossed in front of me, and I thought I should really go up and say hello. But I was at a point where I was just absolutely just mentally destroyed because I'd been speaking to so many people, recorded so much. I was tired and I thought, this is not going to show me at my best, but I apologize for not coming up and saying hello to you. I tend to do a lot of apologizing to people.
That's fine.
You're in really, really good company. Ben Parks and Stephen from Film My Run. I apologize to both of them in the past.
The National Running Show was just incredible for me. it was the first year I'd gone where so it was February, wasn't it? So it was a good year after I'd started. And obviously the Orange Running Guy thing was going, it was quite, and the amount of people that came up to me, like yourself, Dan, you probably had people coming up and saying hello and stuff. They were coming up to me and from all directions, really. I've got my Orange Running Guy hoodie on, so that kind of helped, I guess. But similar to you, by the end of the day, I was shattered. The amount of selfies that were like, oh, can we have a picture? Yeah, of course. People coming up to me like, oh, I follow you on whatever. It's just incredible, really. And it's something that I'd never experienced before. I mean, I'm no celebrity and I don't claim to be. But literally on that day, I felt like one. It was, I was just in shock. At one point, my wife literally walked off because it was every now and then, somebody was coming over. She was like, I'll just leave you to it. It's just like... So I'm really looking forward to this year's running show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Andre, you looking forward to it? I think the tickets go on sale later this... Not that I'm pimping them or anything like that, the tickets go on sale later this month. I think it's the 20th. They announce the tickets are available. You've got to keep an eye out for the freebies as well. There's a lot of brands that do freebies, so keep an eye on social media. I know, Andre, I'm sure our friends at the Running Channel will be going, hey, club members, use this code, which of course we will only keep to ourselves. We won't be telling anyone now. But Ross, you're probably going to be like one of the keynote speakers by then, aren't you?
Well, I've applied to be a running show ambassador that they were advertising about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I've applied for that. And I think they're going through the entries now. So who knows? I doubt it, but I've tried.
Any final thoughts, Andre?
Yeah, I am looking forward to the National Running Show. I was a bit gutted that I didn't get to meet you, Ross, in February when it was on. I was like, I think it was at a time when I probably was a bit starstruck by just seeing people that just flicking through. And if I'd seen you, I'd been like, oh my god, I would have been like a nervous wreck just meeting anybody.
I think
so. It was a little bit like how I met you, Dan, as well. I was a bit nervous as well.
You've certainly come out of your shell because it's. Now, I remember the first time we met at the running show, literally I was chatting to Andy Badley and I was like, hi Andre, and Andy then said, oh, hi Andre, how you doing, mate? It's like, he's a popular guy. Shall we get on and do a cool down then?
This is the Chatty Runners podcast.
Oh, wasn't that good chatting to Ross there? Ross, the Orange Running Guy. You can find him on social media, but we'll go and talk about that in a little while. But we do have the cool down to do. And it is a cool down, not a warm down. You can't warm down. You cool down. Your temperature goes down. Okay? That's the physics lesson done. But the question this week is, it's holiday season. When you go on holiday, do you take your trainers with you, your Garmin, or whatever sports watch you use? Do you go for a gentle jog around your resorts or up and down the seafront or maybe even along the lakeside, wherever you go on holiday? Or do you just think, I'm having a week off from this. I'm going to put my training plan into holiday mode. So guests first. Ross, holidays, running or not?
Running, for sure, definitely. I always try and find the nearest parkrun. We were down in Somerset recently and I did the Burnham-on-Sea parkrun when we were away. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go sort of, out the resort or whatever to run. I would wait for Saturday and do a parkrun. We're going away to Florida in September for 3 weeks and we found a parkrun that's literally 5 minutes away from where we're staying. So I should be taking my running stuff with me, all my orange gear, and I'm going to be global.
Wow, yeah. Running in Florida, that's going to be an experience. Parkrun's really taken off in America recently. They're getting an awful lot of coverage. And I think when I was at a book signing with Paul Sinton Hewitt, he said that cracking America was proving challenging and they just had to do things a little bit differently. So it looks like they really are taking off the other side of the pond, shall we say. So Andre, when you and your good lady wife go away for a romantic week away, is it you pack your trainers and your watch, or is it a question of, nope, so I'm spending the week with my lovely wife?
Do you know what? In the 3 years that I've been running, we've never been away. So this situation has never come up. We don't go away very often, and when we do have our weeks off, we usually just go on day trips. So it's usually like driving in the morning and then come back in the evening. So there isn't really a time. So no, I've never had to make that decision. But I suppose if it was to happen, and it probably depends on whether I had a race coming up, or I suppose if I had a race coming up, I'd definitely, like Ross, I'd look for my nearest park run if it was over a weekend, or you know when you find some nice local running routes or something like that. If I didn't have anything planned, like what usually happens, I just end up not doing anything at all, just programming it in on my runner app saying this is going to be a holiday, just have no runs for this week, and then I'll just hit it hard on the week after, sort of thing. I probably almost feel like I don't give myself enough rest. So having these holidays, which usually is a week off work, I'll just do nothing and just treat that as my 1 or 2 weeks of the year that I'm not going to do anything. So it's probably quite a bit of a boring answer. But yeah, it just all depends on whether there's anything planned or not.
Not at all. That's not a boring answer at all, mate. Your answers are never boring because they're just different to everyone else's. So if I may venture my opinion, I have on occasion just decided that's it. That week is being spent with my good lady wife. We are going to lie by a pool. We are going to drink alcohol-free pina coladas and beers and cokes and just have a lovely week away, as we did in Morocco earlier on this year. Having said that, it was about 30 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning, so there's no chance I was going to get out. They did have a gym, which was air conditioned, and I thought about I could have taken my trainers, but I decided against it in the end. I thought, no, take a week off. You've earned it. It was after Manchester, before my current training block, so I thought, yeah, that can fit in there. I can lose a week of fitness quite easily. Having said that, we do go away for weekends away, and one of the first things that we do, and I say we because she knows how much it means to me. She says, well, which park runs are close by? Which ones do you want to do? And we went to Buxton, and I did the Pavilion Gardens run there, which was lovely. A lovely, lovely, lovely park. 3 laps though, got a bit boring. And when we went down to Bath last year, I did the Brickfields one. Met up with a friend of mine from work. Yeah, so park runs make it really easy to take a long weekend away, so you can have like that Saturday morning experience. If your partner is somebody who doesn't like getting out of bed early on a Saturday morning, say, I'm just going to go off and do a park run. I'll be back at 10. You can go out, hit a park run, grab a coffee on the way back, and you're back in the room and they're ready for the day. You can jump in the shower, be out. Everybody wins there. You've had a great time. They've had a great time. And yeah, I'm all for that sort of thing. Runcations, that's a completely different story. We can have a whole episode about that. I can bore you senseless on that. And thanks to the wonders of modern technology, here are Sophia's thoughts on this subject.
So I will run all year round, as long as I'm not injured and as long as it's not a recovery week or a recovery period after a big race. I'll always be running, which means I'm absolutely running when I go on holiday. I also think I'm quite, I'm maybe in the minority because a lot of my travel is solo. I don't often go on holiday, with family, with bigger groups of friends or anything. So my time when I'm abroad or traveling in the UK, it's all my own time. I choose what I do with it. And so, yeah, a really big part of it is always being out there on my feet, running and exploring. And yeah, I actually typically look at where I'm going to run even before I travel. So I'll be doing my research on Strava maps and looking at where's good to run.
So I think we're at a point now that we should really be drawing this to a close. So Ross, as our guest, but do you want to give us your socials and let people know where they can reach out to you and say hello and just wish you well?
Sure. So I'm pretty much on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and of course Strava. Simply just Orange Running Guy or The Orange Running Guy. on pretty much all of the socials.
If I can say, your logo is very orange, so you will not confuse that with...
No, you won't miss me.
No, not to be missed. Andre, I think I know what yours are, but go on, let's give us yours.
It's Andre Runs on everything.
Even MySpace, Bebo, Friends Reunited.
When those come back, it will be on that straight away.
Well
Day
done.
one, I'll be registering the username.
Okay, and I am... Other adventures await me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And I've just started TikTok, which both of my colleagues here tonight have started to follow me on. I'm trying to get my head around it. I'm an old man, remember. Go Andre, what were you going to say, something?
I was shocked to see that you had popped up and you'd liked one of my videos. I was like, oh, he's on.
He exists. Or his account's been hacked. Yeah, so there is that. We do have a Chatty Runners podcast on Instagram. So it's just simply Chatty Runners podcast. You can find us there. Please drop us a message there. And also, can I say, as a little bit of a post-credit thank you to all of the lovely people we spoke about in our previous episode about influencers we like, every single one of them got back to us and thanked us for liking them. Some very positive responses. I've certainly found at least 6 more people to follow on social media and to engage with. And hopefully with the Unity 5K coming up. Are you doing Unity 5K, Ross?
I was thinking about it. Yes, I need to make sure I'm free on that day. But yeah, I was definitely thinking about doing it.
So Harry Morgan from Jog On, he's going to be there. He's announced his whole weekend of events because I think his partner's running in the marathon. So he's going to be supporting her beforehand and then running the 5K afterwards. So that's going to be good. So good work there, Andre. You've certainly got some positivity there. And I got a very lovely message from Tim Stent, Mom, thanking me for that. Anyway, this has been the Chatty Runners podcast. Ross, thank you so much for being Sophia for the night. Thank you so much. And wherever you're running this weekend, today, tomorrow, wherever, please have a safe one and enjoy it and be nice to people. Thank you very much and take care.